This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Hello and welcome back, or welcome, hello, to Coffee with Kenobi / CWK Pour-Over. What is it? I don't know. I guess you're going to have to find out. Depending on where you listen to this, I am your host, Dan Zehr. Delighted to talk Star Wars with each and every one of you. And on a special episode of Coffee with Kenobi, what we are doing is we are talking about the Skeleton Crew trailer that was released late last week. And when I say we, I'm talking about my co-hosts of CWK Pour-Over, Tom Gross.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. And Cory Clubb.
Hello. Excited to talk on this hybrid show.
Tom and I had a fun saying that you always say that you're excited, and you always have the same kind of dulcet, calm voice, and it's just really delightful. I appreciate it. Yes.
Yes.
I like that.
It's nice because I always know what we're gonna get. There's comfort to that.
There's a consistency in the charm that is Cory Clubb. So this is why it's great. It's a great thing.
Exactly. No, I think that's definitely to use, the fact that like it's comfort food, if you will. You always know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And hey, you know what? Throw on CWK, and I know exactly what I'm going to get, and it's good. So,
when I went on LinkedIn and I wanted a consistent, kind, intelligent, loving host for Coffee with Kenobi, 12, 11 years ago, that was what your agent advertised you as, and they were right.
Well,
they were right.
I don't want to disappoint.
So what we're doing
at that time,
yes,
a long time ago,
in a galaxy not far enough away, that doesn't even make sense. So we're doing a weird show because this is going to be the same thing you hear on CWK Pour-Over this week, but on CWK Pour-Over, it is the unedited version of this conversation you're hearing right now. This will be the clean, polished, scrubbed up nicely one that we're going to hear on Coffee with Kenobi. We need to talk about the trailer for Skeleton Crew. So who better than the co-creator of Coffee with Kenobi, Mr. Cory Clubb, and a longtime friend, a former CWK newsman, and the host of Teachers in the Dungeon, Tom Gross. Gentlemen, super excited to talk with you both. And yeah, we already did that. Okay, great. Skeleton Crew. Before we even talk about the trailer, what is your sort of, before you saw the trailer, Cory, what was your level of anticipation or curiosity about Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, I remember when this was announced, and it was kind of a big question mark. I wanted to know what it was about, what was the timeline, where does it fit in, and all those things were kind of raised. And I know that we had a lot of Mandalorian, we had a lot of Ahsoka, and like canonical stuff, right? I was just kind of like thinking through, like, what is this whole thing? I think, did they announce it at Celebration way back when? Man, that was such a long time ago.
It's been announced, for a while.
It's been a minute.
I
so
think maybe
now
D23,
it's kind of like, hey, we're only
perhaps?
Oh, maybe it was D23. Maybe you're right. Yeah, and it was kind of an unknown at that time, and we knew much about the project. And now we're a couple weeks out from the debut. So, my fandom for Star Wars has, I guess I've taken my foot off the gas, if you will. And just kind of watch traffic as it goes by and think, okay, I'm not going to rush into anything that comes out. I don't know what this acolyte is. I don't know what Ahsoka's going to hold. And so a lot of these things are kind of like, these could be hits or these could be misses. I don't know. And that's kind of the same with Marvel, too. I think a lot of fans have kind of taken a little bit of a backseat, if you will, and trying to understand, okay, what is this next project? And so that's how I came to the Skeleton Crew. I know a lot of people have said it's like a crossover between like Goonies and Star Wars and who knows what. And from the first trailer, it was definitely had that light kids moments and really unique settings that we hadn't seen in Star Wars before. Kind of like, I want to say like earthly settings, if you will. Like it has like kind of that urban feel, like suburban style stuff. Like they're in school and things. So it actually feel like a different feeling, I guess. And we'll get more into that, I'm sure. But but this whole thing, it was kind of a toss up, and I don't know where to land. But I definitely have thoughts after the trailer of where I do believe it's going to go and what I anticipate.
I don't remember when it was first announced, but August 10th of this year is when we saw that initial trailer that you were talking about.
Okay.
The overall idea is basically, I'm trying to find an official summation of this, but it's a group of kids who get, wait for it, lost in space, and they are trying to get home, and there is a Jedi Knight who is going to help them get home. It is created by Star Wars by Spider-Man Homecoming director John Watts and writer Christopher Ford. These kids get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy and have to find their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies along the way. And Jude Law is the main celebrity in this. I guess that's fair to say, but he's the biggest known commodity in this episode, in this series that's coming out in December. Tom, what was your level of curiosity, interest like in Skeleton Crew before you saw this trailer, the new one?
Before the trailer. So, of course, it's Star Wars, so I definitely have an interest. I mean, that's I think without saying, otherwise I wouldn't be on a podcast like Coffee with Kenobi, right? So definitely have an interest in Skeleton Crew, but the I suppose the elephant in the room for me, you guys know what it is, and it's kids.
That's right.
Why don't you, for those of our listeners who are not familiar with your unorthodox views of entertainment, go ahead and share that, what it is. And maybe you started with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Is that possible?
Yeah, I just, and it's for whatever it's worth.
We're here for you, Tom, but it's okay. You're in a safe space.
We support you, Tom.
Me.
Yeah.
It's just me, I'm sure, but I really struggle. It started with children on stage. Children on live stage just never really ever worked for me. They don't have the experiences in life to be able to like replicate that into a character, I feel. And I'm not saying no children, just most children don't have that. And it transfers to films too. So yeah, you mentioned Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I love the movie except for the one character, Mr. Jones, Dr. Jones, Dr.
Short round.
It just grates on me. Just grates on me. I'm not into that that kind of childish humor. Now, there are some exceptions to this, of course.
What are the exceptions for that? I'm filling out this form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. The main most recent exception is, of course, the beautiful child that played Princess Leia in Obi-Wan.
Oh,
she was magnificent. She did not. I could get past the fact that she was a child actress. She encompassed the character of Leia as I would have pictured her, or I think anybody could have pictured her as Princess Leia as a little girl.
And to be clear and to be fair, you're not saying. I mean, for you, it's harder to sort of suspend your disbelief with child actors because maybe for whatever reason, because of their age, they don't have the experience, so it's harder to make that verisimilitude work for you. But it's nothing about, of course, the actors. It's more like for me, there's a certain level of believability that helps me suspend my disbelief.
Right. And I mean, we could go to some adult actors that do this for me, like Tom Cruise. A Tom Cruise movie is a Tom Cruise movie. It has nothing to do with whoever the character he's playing. It's still Tom Cruise in my mind. And so that happens often for me with children. So with all of that said, I'm not especially excited before the trailer. I'm not especially excited about Skeleton Crew, but I'm definitely interested in it. I mean, it's Star Wars. It's going to be lore. It's going to be canon. It has the potential. Every Star Wars story has the potential to make connections that we all either want or didn't know we needed or whatever it is. So of course I'm excited about it, but I'm not like pumped like, oh, I can't wait for December 3rd, I think it is, to come. I'm not there, but when it gets here, you betcha I'll be there to watch the program, and I will probably really like it, but I just don't know. But it's Star Wars, so of course I'm looking forward to it.
Sure. For me, my level of excitement is, I would say, optimistic trepidation, if we were doing a word.
God bless you.
Thank you. very much for that, because I haven't been. Yes, as we all know, clearly, we're fans of Star Wars. That is certainly no surprise. Anyone listening to Coffee with Kenobi or who is a member of the CWK Alliance and subscribe to our Patreon page and CWK Pour-Over knows how much we love this saga, how much we love pop culture. But it's particularly challenging for me because Star Wars is my passion, but it's also something of a vocation for me now too. So regardless of what it is or what it's going to be about, I'm going to tune in because of the love, but also because of I know that one of the things that is important to me about Coffee with Kenobi, and I know Cory can back me up on this because Cory feels the same way, because Cory and I created this podcast, is that we wanted there to be a community. We wanted there to be a safe place, a safe space for people to talk, and a spoiler-free, family-friendly, positive community. Positive doesn't mean, as I've said many times over the years, positive doesn't mean that you like everything. It means that you realize that people like different things about Star Wars. Some things kind of hit all those marks. Like, it's hard to imagine somebody who says, I love Star Wars, but I'm not a Darth Vader fan. I don't know that really exists.
Yeah.
It might. But, different things hit people in different ways. Some people liked The Mandalorian more than others. Some people like The Acolyte more than others, and so on and so forth, and that's fine. So we're in this weird place where, for the first time, I can't think of something I liked beginning, middle, and end fully in Star Wars since season 2 of The Mandalorian. The other one, ever since then, there are certainly even things I've enjoyed a lot and loved, but there were certain aspects of it, both as a discerning fan, as an educator, whatever, that didn't work for me quite as well. So when I know this is coming out, what I am excited about for it, I was hoping that because there are kids in it, that it would mean there is a bit more of the family aspect. Because as much as I love Andor, and the more I think about the first season of Andor, the more I think about, boy, what a masterpiece. What a master class in storytelling. Yeah. But not family friendly. Not for kids. Some of the other ones, hit and miss. What I'm excited about for this one is the fact that this might bring some of the family dynamic back to Star Wars. Because I want to sit with my son and my family and watch it, which I couldn't do with some of the other stuff. So now we've seen the trailer. In essence, the trailer doesn't give us much, except that these kids are lost, that Jude Law is going to help them. And here we are. It's about best friends Wim and Neil and Fern, and there's someone named KB, and there's someone called Teak, and I don't really know who these characters are besides looking at the action figures themselves, which you can find more images of that and pre-order links on coffeewithkenobi.com. How about that for a little shameless transition?
Plug.
Pretty good, huh?
I like it.
So now we've seen the trailer. Cory, what'd you think?
I was delightfully surprised, only because, like you've said, I don't know if I'm getting worn down by expectation levels with Star Wars stuff.
I think I am. I think I am.
I think I am too. I'm waiting for the next, big hit, right? And it's just kind of lukewarm, or there's been hits or misses. There's some that have been really great, like Andor, and incredible, but it's not for everybody. And how do you tell a story, and how do you get that right mixture, that perfect storm, if you will?
Can I interrupt you real quick?
It's so hard to do. Sure.
Can you, since we're on Coffee with Kenobi, can you say lukewarm again?
Lukewarm feelings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I was waiting for that. That was, I don't know, if it was this show or that show. We're doing a mix.
It's so confusing. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Usually it's the rim shot is in the room, but it's okay. Now, where was I going with this? Yes. So I'm hoping that this does have that perfect storm for everyone to just enjoy Star Wars, right? I always take the idea of can my wife, who's not a Star Wars fan, enjoy this? Can we sit down and enjoy it and watch it? Because I find that fascinating that we all sat down and watched WandaVision as a family, and I loved it. And it was superheroes, and it was craziness going on. I want that same hurrah. I want that same excitement each week for each episode to you just cannot wait for the next crazy thing is going to happen. And this seems to have a little bit of that in it. You know, but I do worry about where does it fit in the canon of Star Wars. I think maybe that's difficult to place, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm excited to learn new characters and go on a brand new adventure. Not have to worry about,
because it's in the time of the Mandoverse. It is in that time period.
Oh, it is Mandoverse. Okay.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. Yeah, that puts a little more of a spin on it for me, because now we know that the rebellion is all done and over with, and we are kind of in this weird wild space adventure. So I guess anything could happen, but I want it to. I don't know. I don't what I want it to do, but I want to enjoy it for what it is and enjoy the characters for who they are and have some laughs. And when the credits roll, can't wait for the next episode feeling. I want that feeling. That's what I want.
Because it's been promoted as in the tradition of the Amblin films, the Spielberg was a part of and produced in the 80s.
For sure.
The Goonies, E.T., that kind of thing. On Stars.com, Kristen Baver has an interview with Watts and Ford. They talk about, they wanted the story to have the thrills of Predator, Series Beats of Empire of the Sun, and Flight of the Navigator. I mean, those are very different genres, but they evoke a certain kind of a feel. Tom, what about you? What did this trailer do for you?
Well, before I talk about the trailer, I want to go back to your comments, Dan, and tell you that you hit the nail on the head for me. I have to admit my selfishness that when I watch Star Wars, that it's all about me and my experience with Star Wars. But what you brought up just opened a door for me, and so I appreciate that. But I want to make the realization that it has to be more than about me and my fandom of Star Wars, because I do have a family. And I think about my children, and I think they would really enjoy a show that this is portraying right now. And it could be, for one of my daughters, it could be like a return to the franchise. For my other daughter, it might be a nice introduction, or like something that reignites a spark and brings interest back to her. So thank you for your comments about, that this is a show that might bring families, or looks like it could be one to bring families back. So I rescind everything I say about children actors and whatnot, because it is important. That is important, because it's not about me. It's about who are the younger generation going to connect with. It's not going to be 50-year-old men like me. And so thank you for saying that. Now, to the trailer, this trailer looked a ton more fun to me than the first one. I wasn't put off by the first one, but what I liked about this is it gave us a little bit of a story. I found something in the forest, and clearly it's forbidden, and they go back. The curious children go back to it, and they show the scene where all their ears are to this door, and then they show it open up. And we know someone's in trouble at school, because that's how the trailer begins. What are you in here for? And then they show the girl like racing through the streets of whatever city they're in. And then, what are you in here for? And then they go to that scene where he's found something. And so I am locked in right away by this discovery. When you said it's a story of lost in space, yeah, but that's not even what I was focusing on when I watched this. Yeah, I know that's said, and I know that's the hook to bring a Jedi or an adult into this that's going to help them, and they're going to help him. But to me, it was more about the children discovering something, and it bringing back past, and they're going to learn, and it looks like they're going to learn from something, and they're going to take this great adventure. Because to me, there's nothing more true Star Wars than that. And so I have to say, after this trailer, I'm really looking forward to December 3rd. I mean, I don't want to rush over Thanksgiving, but I'm excited for this. This has gotten me excited. I've been sitting wondering, like, I turn on Disney Plus and I'm just like, what am I going to watch? And so to be honest with you, I've been going back and I watched Empire Strikes Back last weekend. The weekend before that, I watched Return of the Jedi. I've just been sort of hit and missing. I watched Phantom Menace several weeks before that. And so I've been kind of going back to some of the originals and the 9. And, but of course, I've enjoyed it. I love Star Wars and I've enjoyed it. But I'm turning to Disney Plus for something new, and it just hasn't been there. And so, boy, I'm excited for this.
I'm glad. I appreciate both your comments, and to give you some more peace of mind, Cory, on StarWars.com, again, same article. It's set during the era of the New Republic, where we also find the Mandalorian and Ahsoka. So, as I said, it's in the Manoverse. But Watts is very big on, you don't have to be a fan to enjoy the ride. There might be some fun little nods to things, but it's supposed to just be a fun new thing that brings people in. I was happy. I was happy with it. I don't know that it gave me a much of a sense either way, but it did give me a little bit of a glimmer that I could have some hope in that this will be fun. Because the Acolyte, good, bad, or indifferent, the Acolyte wasn't fun for me. It was fun for other people, and people loved it. And there were certain things that I did enjoy about it, but it wasn't as fun. This looks like it'll be fun. I loved the playfulness of the opening scene with the two kids look like they're in trouble at school. There's some background things here that look a lot different than what we're used to in Star Wars. Some like suburban settings.
Yeah.
Which you don't tend to think about.
Out of it a little bit.
It could, but I haven't seen it yet. You know what I mean? And I can see that. Like,
right, you don't
there's that temptation. We don't have the context, and we haven't seen everything about Star Wars. And if I'm really being very honest with myself, thank you so much. We're a safe space, remember? I think for me, if Star Wars as a franchise ended after The Empire Strikes Back, I wouldn't love it any more or any less than I do right now. I love it because of those two movies. Even Return of the Jedi to a degree, not as much, but still there. So everything has just been a wonderful bonus. The prequels are pretty magnificent, but after that, anything I get, it doesn't have to be definitive for me. For me to really enjoy it. It's not going to affect how much I love the original Star Wars and how much I love The Empire Strikes Back. Because that's the era I grew up in. Other people listening, it's Clone Wars, or it's Phantom Menace, or it's Rebels, which, of course, has a huge part of my Star Wars heart. Yeah. So it's all okay. I don't need it to reinvigorate it. But what I do want is to be challenged and to think about it differently. I want Star Wars to be somewhat familiar because that's why I love the franchise, but I also am very good with challenging my preconceived notions and adding new wrinkles and layers to the galaxy. That doesn't mean adding new planets and a bunch of new characters that I have to memorize because I host a Star Wars podcast and may have to write books about it or something. Very fortunate, very blessed to be able to do that. And I don't take that for granted, but I know that I want to have some buy-in. And I want to enjoy it because it's Star Wars, but it's also an authentic thing that pushes the boundaries of the story and is a story that needs to be told. I firmly believe, especially after starting to create some of my own stuff, if you're going to write a story as a creator, you have to know that it needs to be told. And Cory, you've actually published non-IP fiction, so you can speak to that a lot better than I can.
No, I mean, yeah, you're totally right. I think you want to create something that's original and worthy of being told, not just for yourself to get it out of your own mind and onto the page, but into the hands of readers and viewers, and so they can enjoy it. Right? You want to entertain, you want to educate, you want to inform, and I think that's important. I think that's, and then also escape. I think is another piece of that. The last thing I'll say about this, and what you're kind of stemming from too, is I think any good franchise that can kind of reinvent itself or appeal to the next generation can keep on going and do it in a good way, right? Like you mentioned, some folks grew up with the prequels. Some folks grew up with the original series. Some grew up with Mandalorian. So it's like they all have their story to tell, how I got into Star Wars. Maybe it's the comic books. Maybe it's the resource books. Maybe it's who knows what it is, right? Whatever that gateway Star Wars thing is, that's how their fandom has grown. And it's just different for everybody. I think if you continue to do that and do it well, then you've got really something on your hands. I think that's where it's waffled a little bit. It's like they haven't done it necessarily all that well along the way, but that's the hard to get right. And so I really do hope this is a foot in the right direction. I'm excited to see what happens.
I agree. Tom, any last minute thoughts on this?
No, I was just going to say, to me, I don't know that it has to be. I completely understand what you mean when you say that it's how did you put it? It's a story that needs to be told.
That must be told. Like that
must be told.
Like this has to be told.
Yeah.
Right. Without it, you would be missing something. Or
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I don't know. I guess I feel like a lot of what has been showing up on Disney Plus isn't necessarily must be, but to me it fills the world, and so I don't know how to define where that fits into the must be or it's nice to have, but nonetheless, regardless, I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and you said it perfectly. I think it's a great way to bring the family back to the Star Wars franchise.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
Absolutely. And here's the thing. If I'm going to like it, I'm not going to like it because it's Star Wars. I'm going to like it because it's a good story that just happens to be set in the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
That is, and I don't know if I've ever articulated or thought of it that way, but that's it. And this is it if you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi this week. Thank you so much, everybody. If you're listening to Pour-Over, we're going to babble a little bit more because it's the unedited version. But if not, on behalf of Tom Gross and Cory Clubb, thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.